program was pre-recorded.
You've entered the Fletch Nation with Roy Fletcher, political analyst and socio-political prophet, and Kevin Gallagher, TV and podcast host, and opinionated Jack Hole. So settle in, grab a beverage. It's time to talk some politics. It's Fletch Nation. Now here are the boys.
Well, hello again. Welcome to Fletch Nation. I don't know, Marty, that may be a little hot in those inside studio monitors. We're going to get some rollback on that, I guarantee you. But welcome once again as we record this. It is Wednesday, the 16th. We're going to talk about a big announcement made on television last night. Yeah?
Kevin, I like these microphones.
Yeah, you like those? If you want them, we can use those all the time.
I like them.
There you go.
Makes it look official.
The other thing that I think where Roy and I were just discussing where to start today, and there is what could be a major international scandal brewing with
FTX,
which is FTX, as I understand it, is some kind of cryptocurrency.
It is a cryptocurrency operation. When they went into business, Sam SBF, that's Fried.
Okay.
Sam Brownfield Fried, or whatever the hell his name is. 30 years old. 28 when he went into business.
He's punk ass.
Yeah, Z. And so they started out, and they went to a rating agency, and the rating agency said, well, you guys got $3.5 billion. They didn't have a dime.
Wow.
Nothing. But they said you got $3.5 billion, so they started operating on $3.5 billion. And what happened was a series, it appears, this is allegations. I'm not saying this is the way it happened. But it appears that everywhere they went with whoever they were doing it with, a mutual fund, with this, with that, whatever the case may be, there were maybe gratuities involved.
You think?
What's the word? Kickback?
Emoluments?
Maybe. Yeah. There might have been some kickbacks involved in what there was going on here. And suddenly they went up to $20 billion or whatever.
Yeah. They
have 8 people living in a condo in the Bahamas, apparently in a polyamorphous sexual relationship.
Kinky.
So we got kink on top of thief.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, we see all of this money coming into the American system, political system, from this guy, and gave the Democrats had a PAC he set up, but the PAC gave the Democrats roughly $30 million.
It
seems that if a lot of the people who got it were on sort of these financial regulatory committees in Congress. I wonder why.
Nothing unseemly there.
No, nothing whatsoever. And then Forbes and some of the magazines started calling him the mini Madoff or the mini Warren Buffett and so on and so, and made a big deal out of this young man. And then all of a sudden one night it fell apart. Because there wasn't nothing there.
It was a big nothing burger.
It's a big nothing burger that people had made a bunch of big money on.
The intriguing thing is the Ukraine loop of money. Follow the money. War in Ukraine breaks out. Federal government wants to show their support for Ukraine. We send them billions. I've forgotten how much. A lot of money.
Now we're up with the 37 he just asked for. We'll be up to almost $120 billion into the Ukraine.
So we sent Ukraine billions of dollars. Ukraine then in turn gave billions of dollars through contracts to FTX. For what? I don't know. But then
I think what they did was they got the American money and invested it into FTX.
Mm-hmm.
Then FTX sent the $30 million back to the United States.
Right.
And
so it certainly looks bad anyway.
Yeah, that seems to be what they contend in the scheme is. I'm not saying that's what it is.
No, but it's certainly the optics are
not good. Now,
hinky.
Last night I looked and I found $2.5 million going to the Political Action Committee of the Turtle. McConnell.
Wow.
Mitch McConnell got
Well, now,
$2.5 million.
Why would Democrat donors want to give money to Mitch McConnell?
I don't know. So here's the classic example of follow the money, see who's getting the kickbacks, see who's getting the deals, and then see what politicians are getting donations.
Mm-hmm.
If you follow where I'm coming from.
Yep.
I use that word loosely, donations. And that's where we are with this. It is probably, it's up in the Bernie Madoff ripoff operation.
Yeah.
This morning, there's a class action suit filed against FTX by consumers that have invested money and so on and so forth.
Only to see their investments gone.
Only see, yeah, we go to the Democrats. And the question is I don't think they just should sue FTX. I think they ought to sue the Democratic National Committee, which got $30 million from them. Mm-hmm. And any politician in the country ought to be sued so that they have to give the money back that they got from this cheap guy. I mean, that seems to me to be the only reasonable thing. If you remember the Bernie Madoff pyramid scheme, Ponzi scheme, mm-hmm. the politicians, a lot of them did give the money back once they found out what was going on. Mm-hmm. I don't see too many people rushing to the altar here and getting down on their knees and asking for forgiveness and giving the money back.
Please, let me give this dirty money back.
Yeah, I don't see that too much.
Well, it's already spent now, Roy, and
yeah, I didn't know
water under the dam or over the bridge, or
whatever it is. And I didn't. Nobody knew this, and he was just a young man, and he was almost 30.
Seemed nice.
He seemed nice, and he probably just made a mistake and just fleeced people out of about $30 billion along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So folks.
So, by the way, Martin Scorsese will be directing the motion picture.
God, unbelievable.
Just crazy.
It's crazy. It's really crazy.
But this is, and we could make an entire show out of just what this is, or what it smacks of. It's corruption, and corruption is seemingly everywhere now.
It is
everywhere, and it permeates every level of government, from your city and your parish, right on up to the highest levels of international government.
Yeah, of international government. I mean, we were feasted to the G20 meetings this week.
Oh yeah,
feasted. They wanted to eat us, and we saw all the heads of state, except there was a couple of people there that weren't heads of state. Bill Gates and Klaus, the head of the World Economic Forum, Klaus, blah, 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 whatever hell his name is. And of course, Klaus got up and lectured everybody on how we needed a great new reset, and we're going to have to control all of this from the international level. Well, one worlders.
Yep.
Basically what we're talking.
New world order is basically what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's what we're talking.
Don't let people fool you. If you hear that phrase, the Great Reset.
That's what that is.
Go do a little Google searching on that. But what you're going to find out, the Great Reset is basically the New World Order with different nomenclature.
That's what it is. And because the New World Order had a negative to it that they were trying to get around. So when we get back, we're going to talk about the antagonist to the New World Order of last night. And we'll be right back. Stick with us.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis. not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
Your favorite season is back, and now's the time you can score savings at the Team Automotive Group. You can sell your vehicle to us, and we'll pay you top value. Or buy here and get a 90-day warranty on the purchase of a pre-owned vehicle. Score VIP service and save at every location of the Team Automotive Group.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
So, some of you may be surprised we didn't open the show with
Donald John Trump.
Because we record this on a Wednesday. Tuesday night's news was at 8 o'clock Central Time last night. Donald John Trump made a speech and said he's going to do it again.
Well, that was an interesting piece of TV last night because about 5 minutes before Trump came on, the channel, several channels cut to several networks, cut to Joe Biden at the G20 sitting at a table with the press hollering at he and Trudeau and several of them going, well, what do you want to say about the Polish? Do you want to say anything about the Polish, the rockets hitting Poland? And Biden, in his most eloquent way, said no, and sit there in stone goofiness. So anyway, so then we turn to the Donald John Trump announcement for president. What'd you think of it, Kevin?
Well, my general impressions were that when he spoke, he was a lot less bombastic than we're used to seeing Trump. We've seen this before, where he's a little more measured, a little more level on the level. He said some things that would flame people up, but he wasn't just all full of fire and brimstone like we've seen him at times. He was,
yeah,
like I said,
I think
a little calmer, a little more measured.
I think his style was different last night.
But it didn't come as a huge surprise to me. I think a lot of people thought that he was going to definitely run for president again. But it's 2 years now, and a lot can happen between now and then.
Yeah, the question is, I agree with you about his style. It was measured. It was obviously he was doing that on purpose because he didn't want anybody to say he was being ugly. And he kind of made that point. I thought there were a couple points in the speech where he said, "This is not my campaign, this is our campaign." I thought that was a good line. He really went out there for Herschel Walker, very hard in that speech, and then I think that he drew the contrast quite well between the way he left it and the way it is. And when you look at don't forget the guy, take the guy off the screen, and just think about the substance of what he is saying. The difference between America in 2019. The late 2019 and America today in terms of its economics, in terms of its border, in terms of its crime, in terms of all that, is extraordinarily different.
Mm-hmm.
Price of energy, price of gas, all
Price
of
of
it.
everything
Everything is the situation where we are in the world. I mean, he was a president that did not start a war while he was president, which is unusual. And
no one tried to provoke him into one either.
No, because they knew that he would go. Okay, that was the problem. That was the difference. They knew they were dealing with a guy who was. I think that here's how I think you have to look at it in another way. Look at it in terms of what are the distinctions that he tried to set up against Biden. They're easy, and he did it. But he was setting up a distinction against some other people too, like Ron DeSantis. But it's okay to talk about Florida. That's a good thing. But Florida is not Saudis. Florida is not energy policy. Florida is not a nuclear war. Florida is not any of that. Florida is something else. It's a state. And I think he was trying to set that distinction up in a very quiet, non-combative way. I think he got stung when he called him Ron DeSanctimonious. I don't think anybody in the party wants to hear all of that.
Well, making fun of somebody's name and turning it to humorous it's juvenile. It really is.
Well, it is now. Look, we've already seen the act. I mean, he did it in. By the way, speaking of Donald Trump, did you see Saturday Night Live?
I haven't watched Saturday Night Live in decades, Roy,
I haven't
honestly.
either. I have not watched it in 40 years, but I had to watch it this week because Dave Chappelle, a real comedian.
I like David Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle was the host, and he did a thing on Donald Trump, which I thought was brilliant. Of course, Dave Chappelle does brilliant stuff, but basically, it's if you hadn't seen it, folks, here's what it was: is that he said, this guy. I live in Ohio. They say it's the end of the Trump era. Well, it may be here in New York, and Chicago, and other places, but I live in Ohio with poor white people, and I'm going to tell you something. They love him, and here's why they love him: because he's an honest liar. That's what Chappelle called
honest liar.
And he said, if you remember the first debate when he said the system is rigged, and the moderator, how do you know it's rigged? And he said, because I use it. And then Hillary Clinton said, well, you're not paying taxes. And he said, you see how smart I am?
Yeah.
And so what Chappelle's point was, is that he came out of the big house. He told everybody what's going on in the big house, and then he went back in the big house and got back in the game. And that was his point. And he said that's why he's beloved. That's why people love him, because he told the truth about this in a way that nobody had ever done it before. Or
if he was lying to us, at least they weren't such obvious lies as what we get from others.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, others would just kind of deny it, but he embraced it. And so that was what Chappelle, and I think that last night, in a way, what Trump did was to say, here I am. And this is what we did. And we promised it, but we actually did it. And there's a reminder of crime in Baton Rouge. Just went by.
What I would ask Mr. Trump is, what are you going to do? How are you going to prevent it? How can anyone prevent what happened in 2020? Whether you're watching this right now and you're thinking, nothing happened in 2020, the election wasn't stolen, there was no cheating, or whether you firmly believe that the fix was in, there were irregularities one way or the other. There's undeniable. There were irregularities last week on a week and a half ago on November the 8th.
Yes,
there were irregularities. What are you going to do to make sure that doesn't happen again? What can we do as voters?
I mean, he talked about last night voter ID law, and then to end the notion of mail-in ballots.
Oh yeah,
and that kind of thing. I mean, those are clear things that I personally think that the Republicans, the Democrats have used the mail-in ballots because when Pelosi got back in 2018, that was the first thing she wanted to do. It had nothing to do with COVID. But it came along because of COVID. But guess who passed a lot of that? Republican state legislatures. So let's be a little careful. We'll be right back, and then we'll be less careful.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
The 2022 Mazda CX-5 with iActive all-wheel drive and available turbo engine. It truly ignites the senses.
Save on your new CX-5 right now during the season of discovery at Team Mazda.
Hi, gang. Clarence Buggs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Buggs Show.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Fletch Nation returns. Glad to have you with us here at the Old School Barbecue Smokehouse at 10655 Coursey Boulevard here in Baton Rouge. Glad to have them and enjoy the good food that they serve up.
So, Kevin, we finally, I think, we've come to the conclusion that the Republicans might have won the House.
Yep.
It appears that way.
It really does appear that way, although there are a couple of races that have
Still
not
out.
been decided, but I think that they're thinking
we're at
Republicans.
218 now.
Republicans simple majority in the House, but they will not.
I can assure you one thing.
Take the Senate.
There's nobody getting in a car to go a long distance at 218.
No.
For fear that somebody might get in a wreck and get killed.
Yep.
And then you have to have a special election. But at 219, 220, probably where we'll end up. That's a far cry from the 40 that was being talked about. But we warned against the 40. But we actually had it on the low side at 18 to 25. But we had it at 18 was our low side. And we're not even going to make that. We're going to make about 10.
I think the most ambitious I heard you coming into this thing as far as guesswork is, how many seats was, you saw maybe 3 or 4 in the Senate. Maybe.
Yeah, and that was...
And you said 12 to 15. I remember one of the last times we talked about it. You said 12 to 15 in the House, and that's...
Well, we're close. But the Senate really surprised me. It really did. I'm gonna be honest. That surprised me. The biggest surprise I had was Adam Laxalt in Nevada. I really thought that he was going to win that race.
I think it's easier to jigger those statewide elections than it is those district races.
Yeah, I think it is. And then Frankenstein wins in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
That's your home state.
Please don't remind me. Painful memories. Pennsylvania, what a mess.
Yeah.
I wasn't holding out hope for Dr. Oz. Just because I'm from.
I had a lot of hope for Dr. Oz.
I'm from Pennsylvania. It's not a state where Republicans win decisive victories very often. They just don't. I think that Dr. Oz, that the margin was so slim, speaks volumes about where Pennsylvania may be headed in the future.
So. The argument now is why. I mean, there's always victory has many fathers and defeat is an orphan.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens in this kind of situation is that defeat may be an orphan, but somebody wants to name the daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's basically what happens. And what we have here is we have a number of theories as to what happened. And the first one and the biggest one that was put out, and I really don't agree with this one, but the biggest one that was put out right from the beginning, well, this is Trump's fault. This is all the Trump thing. This is Trump.
That was instant.
This
was election night. I was hearing that.
This is Trump's fault.
This is the Donald Trump effect on the elections. There's just as many Republicans who hate him as love it. Donald Trump.
Exactly.
The Trump candidate now, with a few exceptions, a lot of the Trump-backed, Trump-endorsed candidates did fare poorly.
Well, you take the Senate where they say, "Gee, Masters and Fetterman, the Oz thing." You see, you lost those, but Herschel's in the runoff. Herschel was his creation.
Mm-hmm.
Bud in North Carolina won.
Mm-hmm.
J.D. Vance in Ohio won.
Yes, he did.
So there was some that won and some that didn't, that's normal. But the one that I thought was sort of where everybody agreed on was Nevada, and that was Adam Laxalt.
Yeah,
and to see him go down was pretty. That's pretty powerful. The other places where by the way, last night the 218 was announced. It was a Trump person in California that turned it to 218.
Yep.
And Trump made that point in his speech. So I don't know how much of the Trump, but here's my theory is the following: there was a sense of a Trump effect. It was articulated not as Trump. It was articulated as we're saving our democracy. Saving our democracy was a metaphor for Donald Trump. It was also a metaphor for something else. In case, and I thought, a lot of people thought, in case you don't know, the January 6th committee created that metaphor, saving democracy, okay? That committee had an impact on this election. There's no question in my mind. So that's sort of the bungled up Trump effect right there. But there were other things. There was Roe v. Wade. There's no question about abortion had an impact in certain areas of this country, a substantial impact. And the Gen Z vote that suddenly turned out at 200% more than it's ever turned out, the Gen Z vote
Amazing
was a direct relationship.
Well, I think young people will vote when you let them just fill out something and throw it in return mail. Sure, they'll vote. You're not asking them to do anything. I mean, they'll bust their ass to go do some stupid game or something like that. But ask them to vote, and that's hard. I have to go in my car and go to the polls and wait in line, and oh my God,
stay out all night.
So yeah, you make it as easy as filling a card.
But
and put it in the mail.
I do think that had an impact. The abortion thing and the Trump thing. And then I think there was another one that's not so clear, but I'll say it for you here. The Republicans did a good job at laying out the case against Biden and the Democrats on inflation, crime. What they did not do was to lay out a case of what they were going to do to stop it.
Yeah.
Okay? It's one thing to be negative. It's another thing to be negative and then to give people hope.
I agree. And we've talked about this with the Republicans before, that they will criticize, but they don't necessarily present the solution.
Yeah, they don't present the solution, and they certainly didn't in this election. And I think that hurt them and hurt them badly. And then fourthly, I think that there is a sense that people don't want all the harangue that goes with sort of the populist message. They don't want the harangue, the sort of name calling, raising hell kind of deal going on. Mm-hmm. They kind of want it quiet and easy, and so they can make a decision. I think all of those four things together. Also, finally, I would say in House races, I think the Republicans are bereft of good candidates and bereft of good advice. I think they had, and I've talked to several pollsters in the last day or two that agreed wholeheartedly with me on that question. Now, given that, we'll come back and we'll talk about one more topic.
Mm-hmm. Fletch Nation returns in a moment.
I hear the music.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hi, I'm Katie, Operation Manager here at Old School Barbecue. We're excited about all of the changes here at Old School, and we'd like to invite everyone to come out and enjoy some delicious barbecue at Old School prices. We feature brisket, chicken, ribs, sausage, and the Boss Hog pulled pork sandwich voted best deal in town. We also have live music Friday and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We can't wait to see you.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin Gallagher. This is Roy Fletcher. We hope you'll join us for Fletch Nation, especially if you like talking politics.
Hey, come and join us. We'll give you the information, and then we'll give you the context. And by the way, we'll give you fun too.
Lots of fun. We hit the local races, the state. We even look at what's going on all across America. And by the way, this space is available. If you'd like to talk about advertising, send your emails to Roy Fletcher at royfletcher.com and join us every week here on the Pelican for Fletch Nation.
Your favorite season is back, and now's the time you can score savings at the Team Automotive Group. You can sell your vehicle to us, and we'll pay you top value. Or buy here and get a 90-day warranty on the purchase of a pre-owned vehicle. Score VIP service and save at every location of the Team Automotive Group.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Fletch Nation returns. in just a few minutes, another one of our visits with coastal lawyer John Carmouche. But first...
Well, Kevin?
Yes?
So what else do we have?
Well, there is in Louisiana, there's a big political story.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about it
Yes,
last week.
we might as well.
The state GOP last week came out with a unprecedented 1 year early endorsement of Attorney General Jeff Landry to be their choice for the next governor of Louisiana in 2023.
And then
John Kennedy, I remember on last week's show you were saying they might have wanted to talk to John Kennedy, which, by the way, I heard your radio interview with the Louisiana Radio Network on that subject. Some good insights, as you said on the show last week. Wouldn't hurt to pick up the phone and
give
talk
him a
to
call.
John, but apparently they didn't do that.
Well, now, by the way, since then,
Kennedy announced on Monday.
Well, he now said he's looking at it.
He's thinking about it. Hadn't ruled it out.
Heavily thinking about it.
He said he'd let us know before week's end. So there may be an answer by the time you actually view this program if you're seeing it on Saturday.
On Tuesday, we had another surprise. Bill Cassidy said, I'm looking at it.
Yep. Everybody's looking at it.
And I said to Mark Ballard with the Advocate, Mark, this is kind of unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
2 United States senators want to be governor. Kind of strange.
Do you think it has anything to do with the fact that their chamber did not take over majority?
My sense is, and I don't know, I'll just say it this way, it may not be true, but I think that Kennedy probably, since his earliest days in state government with Buddy Roman, he probably has always wanted to be governor.
Yep.
Okay. And I don't think that he suffers from being in the minority in the Senate because he's so quotable. And he has been. He's been in the minority in the Senate the last 2 years.
Yes, he has. But yet he's been on he's on some program every Sunday morning.
Every day. Absolutely. So I don't think he suffers too much from that. But I think it might be a good time if you're going to do it when you're in a minority position, because I don't think this will happen, but if you lose for governor, you can go back, and in 2 years, you can be in the majority.
My question is, to what extent is this also an in-your-face to the state Democratic Party?
Well, I think it's pretty much I'm in your face for them because of the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of talent on the bench, but here's one of the things that is talked about a lot about on the street is that Cassidy is talking about running for governor, but that he would not run as a Republican, but as a Democrat.
Well, he was a Democrat before.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could make that case, couldn't you?
Yep.
And so
I certainly think him voting to impeach the president, indicates that he might be willing to change back, become a Democrat again.
Could be. And so that lends another little bit of mystery to all this. Would he switch? What would he do? Et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we are right now. And I think that what this does is this notion that somebody's going to get an endorsement of the Central Committee. As Quentin Dastude said in The Advocate when they did the story on the endorsement, he said it don't mean a damn thing because in 1994 I got the endorsement and within 8 months I was run out of the race by Mike Foster.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of that's what it means.
Yeah, many's the slip twixt the cup and the lip.
Yes, absolutely.
And, there's another old expression I'm going to use. Jeff Landry could be hit by a bus tomorrow.
Well, I never thought of it that way, Kevin.
Well, what I'm saying is,
I know what you're saying.
Anything could happen.
But I want to make it to be as ugly as possible.
It's just an interesting turn of events, and I don't like this thing with teasing. It's like, if you're going to do it, do it. If you're going to make an announcement, make an announcement. This, I'm thinking about it, and I'll let you know later this week. And say Cassidy did the same thing. I'm thinking about it. I'll let you know later this week.
I think calculation is fair in politics, but the calculation probably does not need to take very long,
mm-hmm.
and much of it needs to be done before you ever open your mouth. Okay, that's the way I see it.
So at this point,
I think that both of these men are relatively rational. I mean, Kennedy and Cassidy, and I think that they pretty much know what they're going to do now. Be my guess. I'm guessing.
How cool would it be, though, to have a governor's race that featured 2 sitting U.S. senators running against each other to become the governor of Louisiana?
Wow. Talk about a lot of money spent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a rich race.
Yeah.
Here's my question, though. He spent the last several years trying to ride Trump coattails and being a good Republican. Would Democrats get behind Bill Cassidy?
Well, I mean, he voted against Trump. He voted for impeachment. He's voted for some things. He's voted for some of the stuff that Biden has wanted. So, yeah, I think that there's a certain portion of the Democrats that would get behind him and hold their nose and say, okay, so let's take a chance on the guy. Because we're not particularly enamored with Kennedy. Because Kennedy didn't vote for impeachment. And he stood pretty strongly against the Biden agenda.
Do the Democrats have anybody else with statewide name recognition that could be?
No, not statewide name recognition. They have some people that have potential, a couple. One of them is Helena Moreno, the chairman of the Council of New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
She's got some stuff she needs to clean up, frankly, like the mayor. But I think that she could be a viable candidate. I don't know. What else?
People have talked about Mitch Landrieu. And I just think, does Mitch still have any political aspirations at all?
I don't know. He's got a bunch of money in Washington. He claims that he's passing out. So, there's nothing like a politician having a bunch of money to pass out, make them feel good like they're great Americans.
Let me hit you with something completely off topic here. We got 90 seconds to break.
We got 90 seconds,
Let's
folks,
play
and
science
Kevin's
fiction.
going weird.
We're going to go a trip into the future.
Kevin's going weird.
It is now 2024. Donald Trump has just won the presidential election. He has been elected the President of the United States again. When does the Civil War begin, and how bad does it get if Donald Trump wins the election in 2024?
I don't think there'll be a civil war, and I don't think it'll get bad. But if it were, it would be bad.
I mean, I think you're going to see, at the very least, unrest in the streets like you saw in the summer of 2020.
You think?
I do.
Yeah. You know why? Because it's going to be funded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You've got people who will not accept if he wins that election, people will not accept the result of that election, and there will be unrest everywhere.
I don't know that people are going to accept the results of any election anymore.
Well, we certainly know there are not a lot of Republicans that want to accept 2020.
No, there are 2022.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just places in this country where it's very raw right now, like the state of Arizona. It's very raw out there. And so, I don't know. But I don't foresee it.
Okay, when we're going to take another break.
A civil war.
When we come back. So no civil war, no time travel. When we come back, a visit with Coastal Attorney John Carmouche coming up. Fletch Nation returns.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, It starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
We're back, and while Roy is checking email and recent messages, we will bring you this. Roy has recorded some conversations with coastal lawyer John Carmouche, and we're going to bring you another one of those right now. Here is Roy with John.
We're with John Carmouche here talking about all things Louisiana, frankly, and John is a noted coastal and land and environmental lawyer in our state that's had a tremendous impact on the state of Louisiana and the fight for our coast. John, we were talking in the last segment about dramatic change for Louisiana, and you said one of the things that we need is how we deal with business. In terms of what do you think are the kinds of things that we need to be looking at? It relates to bringing business into Louisiana. Hell, they're leaving California. They're going to Florida and they're going to Texas. How about a little something in between here, for the folks, But that's, what do you think?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about, dramatic change. And it all comes together as one, right? If you can't just change the business environment, you can't just change education, you can't just change crime, you have to have it all.
Right.
And to be honest, why shouldn't we? We live in a great state. We have a great environment for businesses. All we have to do is have enough guts to make the dramatic change. And the first thing businesses look at is all of these CEOs they're getting around the country is the first thing to ask is, what's the education like? All of these people have kids and have families. The next thing is, what's the crime like? So
that's not good.
Even though the business, you might give tax deductions to businesses that done in the past, if we don't change the core of why these families want to move here, they're not going to come. They're not going to come. So you got to change it all. You got to change your education. You got to change. Why is there so much crime here? I mean, come on. This is something that has to be changed, and it can be changed.
Well, one of the things that people may not know about you is that your father was a district attorney for, I think, 6 years down in the 23rd Judicial District. Is that right? Yeah, okay. That's Assumption and St. James parishes, yeah. Don Carmouche. And we have witnessed an extraordinary explosion in violent crime in Louisiana. I mean, what do you think has created this situation, and what do you think we can actually do about something that's so pervasive in our bigger cities in Louisiana?
Well, first, education. Number two is we have to be hard on crime. For some reason, I think we've gotten the concept wrong of we just let people out on bail for smaller amounts. We ignore major crimes in Louisiana. we need people to know here, if you commit a crime, you're going to be punished. And I think we've gotten away from that concept and actually educating kids in these schools. And to be more frank, in the jails and in the prisons. Some of these kids go to jails and prisons and they're there for a year and they're sitting around doing nothing. They work. Why can't we educate them? Not only education school-wise, math, like you talked about, reading,
but culturally.
But what culturally, and to understand that when you do these things, you give up the rest of your life and you give up your freedom. There's things that we can do in these prisons and in these jails. I was on the board of the Donaldsonville Marine Institute. It was a program where instead of sending these kids to jail when they were minors, they had an opportunity to go to this program and go to school from 7:30 to 7 at night. It was a Marine Institute started in Florida, and it was in other states.
Like the U.S. Marine Institute.
Well, I mean, but it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, military.
It was a military school.
Yeah.
Not military in nature, but they educated them, and they understood that there's an alternative here, and the alternative is actually living in a way that you can be proud of yourself and be proud of your family and have a family. And a lot of these kids don't realize that that's available to them.
Yeah, and I guess the other part of it is that you have an entire economy that you there has to be opportunity.
There has to be opportunity, and we've lost big businesses, and I'm not going to mention names, because they couldn't hire the quality of people because they didn't want to come here because of education.
Yeah.
And you know, in schools and places to raise their families.
Yeah. Now, how do you see the whole thing for Louisiana going forward? And not only just the coast, which is what your primary concern is with, but it's sort of the whole thing. What happens if we do the coast? What do we look forward to? What can we look forward to?
Well, first, we need a leader, and we need politicians to quit being politicians and be businessmen and work together. Too many smart people in Louisiana, and actually wake up and fight for what we live for, which is family and culture, right? So we need someone to wake up every morning to fight and go out and seek the best. We deserve the best. And we want the best businesses, we want the best education. We wake up every morning, I see this leadership, and we wake up to mediocrity. And that's been satisfactory for this state. But I think that has to change.
Different world now, isn't it?
It has to start at the top. And the top, if we don't have a leader, if you don't have a leader in schools, you don't have a leader in politics, you don't have a leader in businesses. It's all the same. People don't realize it. It all starts at the top and it trickles down, and we need to be fighters. We need to win. And to win, we have to want it. And that's, I think this state now sees we can have it, other states have it, and we can win.
You know, there was a politician that used to have a slogan called "Why Not the Best?" I forget who it was, but needless to say, John, I appreciate you being with us, talking with us, and we'll see you around some more. Thank you, John.
Appreciate it.
All right, we thank John Carmouche for the access, and we're going to be having some new meetings with John Carmouche coming in the weeks and months ahead, so we hope you'll stay with us here on Fletch Nation. So, I'm looking at the clock. We got about 4, and we got... I want to go back to the governor's race, if you got just a moment, because I was going to ask this question earlier before the commercial break. Who's not going to run in 2023 to be the next governor?
Well, I mean, if you assume for a moment that maybe you do have 2 senators running, or even one. I mean, people that aren't going to run are probably people who don't want to give up their job, like Billy Nungasser and John Schroeder and people like that.
If John Kennedy enters, do you think that will make Schroeder and Nungasser change their plans?
Certainly they have to think about it. Mm-hmm. You know, and the question is,
because they could probably both get reelected to those positions.
So would they think about their plans? Absolutely, I think so. I don't think there's any question.
I don't think there's any shame in Billy Nungasser or John Schroeder changing their mind.
Backing out and going running for reelection. Absolutely not.
There are other people whose names are mentioned as being interested in running for governor that I think.
Sharon Hewitt?
Thank you. That was one I was going to bring up, and maybe even Garrett Graves. But I think that John Kennedy in this race has a bit of the same effect as Donald Trump in the 2016 presidential race. Once he was in, he sucked all the oxygen out of the room, and nobody was interested in talking about anything but him.
The other point is that Kennedy enters the race with probably $15 million in the bank, and can raise another $15 million simply by asking for it without making phone calls. I mean, it's just that's the way it is. So I think that it's a game changer if he gets in the race for a lot of people, and at least this much. At least they have to go take stock of where they are and what they're doing.
Okay, I got a couple questions though. Let's another scenario. Kennedy's elected governor of Louisiana. Would he get to name his own successor?
Yes. The governor gets to name the successor, too.
So it wouldn't be during the last weeks of the outgoing governor's term. It would
be the governor coming in. Because Kennedy does not give his seat up until he's inaugurated.
Until he's sworn in as the governor.
No, that's right. Okay, so that kind of tells you that, so he gets to pick the next senator. And here's the important part about that. If he became governor, it wouldn't be like he would be picking somebody for a week or two. 5 years.
Yeah.
So the next person would run essentially as the incumbent. 5 years of the incumbency.
Right. Any names you think are likely in a scenario where John Kennedy gets to pick his successor?
I wouldn't even argue about that. I wouldn't even speculate, but I mean, there's going to be a lot of people speculating if he gets elected.
Oh, yes.
And there's going to be some people help him get elected because they kind of want to be there, for 5 years.
I'd like to know how the big Republican money in the state feels about Kennedy in the race, because a lot of them have already thrown an endorsement behind Jeff Landry. And,
at least the Central Committee has. Some money people have. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the other thing is that what does Donald Trump do in this situation? Because Junior has been down here and said he's for Jeff Landry, but John Kennedy has been one of the principal stalwarts of Trump when he was president in the Senate, particularly on the Judiciary Committee, if you remember. He was very important about helping get some of those people on the United States Supreme Court. So we'll see. And by the way, we enter this world, and Nancy Pelosi is soon not to be Speaker of the House.
And that in itself is the good news. Until next week, Fletch Nation bids you farewell, good luck, God bless.
You've been listening to Fletch Nation with Roy Fletcher and Kevin Gallagher. Remember, if you heard something that ticked you off, upset your sensibilities, or threatened your precious safe space,
the opinions expressed by the hosts and guests are purely their own and do not reflect those of this radio station or its advertisers.
So if you're calling a lawyer, or planning a boycott, or a cancel campaign, forget about it and join us next week for more Fletch Nation.